Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at you with Group B from the 2004 Ever OSL. If you're just joining me, I'm doing the entire series. Group A was a little bit of an issue with some disorganization. I think we're going to be a lot more organized in figuring out who goes when and the order of games in Group B. So looking forward to this. All four groups are like groups of death in this OSL. It's absolutely crazy. Hope you all are doing well and staying cool. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm actually a literal cucumber, but I still have not been able to stay cool recently. I hope anyone else that's been in the heat wave zone like I have has been able to get through it without too much issue. But in any case, speaking of heat wave, I actually don't know where I'm going with that. This is yellow up in the top of the map, and not just the color of the units, I guess. Yellow is actually the name of the player. Hong Jin-ho is extremely famous StarCraft player, and I think this is a really interesting situation. When I was looking at Group A, I missed a few things about kind of some of the lead up to the players getting into that group, and I've made sure to do even more research for this group, and there's actually less drama involved. But one of the interesting bits of drama in this is that Yellow, despite being one of the most accomplished players in StarCraft history at this point in time, it actually had to qualify through the offline preliminaries for this. In the OSL, and I am keeping an eye on the map here, we've got some interesting stuff going on here. This is the map that I originally in my first analysis said was an island map, but it's not. But I was right that there are these mineral patches that block the route, and so what you can do is you can use a mining trick and glitch one of your worker units through. So that's exactly what Yellow's doing. He's glitching a worker through in order to have a protected expansion that will be unassaultable early on. However, it'll be hard for him to reinforce that later on as well. So just something to kind of keep in mind. It's protected, but it's also in a way vulnerable because it's not, you can't even get your own reinforcements there, basically. And Midas is just choosing to build his barracks on the low ground there in order to try and make a stopgap just in case of an attack early by the Zerg player. But in any case, so with the OSL, it's kind of crazy. You have to, in order to go get into what's considered the actual OSL, you have to go into the offline preliminaries, right? If you've never done it before. And then if you win in the offline preliminaries, then you go up to the Challenge League. And if you advance from the Challenge League, and by the way, if you get first in the Challenge League, then you get a seed into the round of 16. But if you don't, you still get out of the Challenge League. Then you get into the Duel Tournament. And if you can win the Duel Tournament group, then you can actually get into the OSL. So Yellow has gone through all those different stages and is now here in the OSL. And it's interesting because he actually is facing Midas. He picked Midas as his opponent in the group selection ceremony. But it's interesting because he actually faced Midas in one of those earlier stages. In which one? I think the Challenge League. He faced Midas in the Challenge League. So, and he beat him. So it's kind of an interesting situation that we're in, where it's kind of like Midas gets a chance at a little bit of revenge, I guess, and Yellow may be feeling confident in beating him before that he says he can beat him again. Although the other factor is that he was the third to last pick in the group selection. It was only Jeju and Kingdom left, and so maybe he just wanted to face the only Terran that was left. I'm not sure. But in any case, Yellow does have some Zerglings here, and I'm sorry that I've been trying to describe the situation so much that I've neglected to mention the fact that there is a bunker. Hopefully you guys have eyeballs, unlike cucumbers like me, and can actually see that there's a bit of a rush coming on here, and Yellow is having to defend with a sunken colony. Midas is missing his moment here, though. I'm not sure if he's waiting for a stim or something like that, but while this sunken colony is morphing, he's losing his chance, and it looks like he's, in fact, not even going to go for this right now. He's using this as an opportunity to contain Yellow and just go for saying, you know what, you're going to stay in your base, you're not going to be getting out of here, I'm going to take a defensive position in an offensive position. And Yellow looks like he's actually creeping forward. He actually had to build one creep colony in order to get the creep far enough out to his front door to build that other creep colony. And now he's going to build another one, and the Overlord is going to kind of sneak in on the side there and see if he can get vision of those Marines to try and drive them away from that ramp. Yellow, of course, is not being stopped from building his expansion because he's built it in that secret location already, so no big deal. He's actually going to build his spire over there as well. Let's just take a quick note that that is a very easily protected spire unless Midas gets a dropship, and then it's going to be very difficult to protect. He's building another colony. Wow, I guess he's really afraid of a bust here, and you know, he does have units out on the map. He probably has an Overlord around different positions where Midas might want to expand. In fact, I think I can see those Overlords in the different spots. He went over and checked the side expansions. And so he knows that Midas isn't expanding, so he's like, all right, well, something fishy is going on here. I better be prepared for some sort of crazy 2-racks all-in. And so he's getting a lot of single colonies. So I'm not blaming him too much for building that, although I do feel like it's a lot of money that he's sinking into those sunken colonies. And there's actually fire bats here as well, and a couple medics. Excuse me. And so he's got a significant force here. I'm a little surprised that he's not pushing out more, other than the fact that, of course, he does know that the Mutalisk timing is coming up. He wants to get his units back there. But if he was worried about the Mutalisks and he wasn't going to be attacking the Firebats, well, actually, I feel like, like I've said before, I'm kind of learning more and more about the meta from the early 2000s as I do more of these games. And I feel like those 2 Firebats are more common back then, even though it still seems a little strange to me, to get a couple Firebats in order to make sure you have something to deal with Zerglings. So if you get all-in with a Mutaling all-in or something like that, then you can have the Firebats to deal with the mass Lings. Of course, he did see some sunken colonies go down, so he might know that a lot of money has been spent on those defenses that would have been maybe spent on that those Zerglings. But in any case, Midas falling back, knowing that the Mutalisk timing is coming soon. Engineering Bay is just completed, and excuse me, and he's starting to push out now, actually, onto the map. But does he have turrets? Okay, he does have some turrets out already. But now he's bringing his forces back. And, oh, there was some free medic kill possibilities there. But Yellow just didn't realize that was the situation. In any case, we got the Queen's Nest down already. He's already going for Hive off of 2 bases. That is kind of cray. Usually, you don't see... Well, again, in the later 2000s, you don't see Hive play off of 2 bases. You almost always want the Zerg player to have... The Zerg player almost always wants to have 3 bases because you kind of need 3 gas mines mining in order to support the production of the high-level units that you're going to be making out of off the Hive tech. So, you know, the Ultralisks, the Defilers, etc. He may be thinking about something that I've been seeing more often lately. It's weirdly, I've been seeing it some in these old games, and I've actually been seeing it in modern games too. It's so weird how the meta can sometimes cycle back around. That, like, you know, I was just talking with Rise the other day. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. If you're interested, I did a dual commentary with Rise the other day, and so go to his channel and check it out. I'll put a link in the description for that. But we may be having some more opportunities to talk about Rise later this week as part of Group B, if we can arrange our schedules. But in any case, lost my train of thought. Point being, oh yeah, the meta can be a little bit secular. Secular? Is that a word? I think it is a word, but it's for some reason sounding weird in my head right now. Circular, and I know circular is a word, but I think secular is also a word. Not sure. Regardless, let's get back to Midas bearing down on Yellow with a lot of forces, and Yellow counterattacking with these Mutalisks. He kind of needs them at home right now. I don't know. Well, he does have those sunken colonies, but he's going to need more than just those 3 sunks to defend this, because guess what? Siege tanks greater than sign sunken colonies. He can just outrange them very easily and kill off those sunken slowly. It looks like Yellow's decided to just keep building sunkens behind that in order to slow things down. Okay, there's the Greater Spire. And that's what I eventually was going to get at, is that in the old days you saw more Greater Spire play, and I think lately watching like Brood War streams, people like Jay Yoon is a really great Zerg player, for example. I've been seeing Greater Spire play a lot when, you know, you have leftover Mutalisks later in the game. But this is definitely not 2020 meta, what we're seeing right here. The Greater Spire is about to finish. Does he have the gas saved up to make a bunch of Guardians at this point? And he does. He's making 3 Guardians. But Midas is not going to wait for them to finish morphing. He's charging down the ramp with his Marines. He's going to try and just brute force these Sun Colonies. There's 5 of them there, though. He only has a couple tanks. The other Mutalisks are coming in as well. They're going to take out the Fire Bats and push those Marines back up the ramp. And that was... Oh, man. And now, that is just... terrible for Midas. Some reinforcement Marines coming in and another tank, but he already lost one of them. And there's 5 Guardians out now. That is a lot of firepower, and Midas is going to be forced to fall back here, and he doesn't really have a lot to deal with it. He's just now about to finish a starport. Oh, he's getting 2 starports. Oh, okay, well, that's a good way to deal with it, I guess. You know, if it was a normal modern game, I think that he would have been well on his way to getting the science vessel tech. And, you know, if you've got science vessel tech, science vessels are a little bit slow to deal with Guardians this early. Freaking 2 base hive, but you can get a Valkyrie out, and that can be very effective against it. Of course, Wraiths are fine too. In most cases, Wraith's not super good if the enemy still has Mutalisks around, though, and Yellow still does. So I'll be curious to see what he does with these starports. And actually, those Guardians might be in a little bit of trouble. If the Marines can get close enough to them, they can power down the Guardians faster than vice versa. So he needs to be a little bit careful. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 splorches, 5 gashes in the creep where there used to be sunken colonies. So a lot of money sunken into those defenses to buy time for the Guardians. I'm not sure what Yellow's plan is to go from here, though, because now he's got these Guardians and he can use them to defend well, but can he push out an attack? Actually, I'm going to have to correct myself because it looks like Yellow has taken a 3rd base on the right side of the map, and that's what he kind of needed to secure. So he's perfectly happy to keep defending, I think, with these Guardians. And needs to be careful. Again, those Marines can charge up and attack them if he gets too close. They're at that ridge, though, so Midas feeling like it's a little bit too risky. He might not be able to give chase well enough. And look at this. 2 Guardians chilling next to the mineral patches where Midas would be likely to expand. So interesting position there. And this is what I was talking about. The Marines get a chance to charge in. They take out a couple of Guardians immediately. The Guardians have to run, turn their tails, and do Guardians have tails? I'm not sure. And either way, they have to turn whatever it is that they have between their legs, antennae, arms. I need to take an Anatomy of StarCraft units class at some point and learn more about the biology behind these units. But regardless, we've got some Wraiths out as well. They're going to choose to go ahead and check out those Guardians and say, nah, you know what, never mind. Okay, now they're going for the Guardians. I think maybe he didn't spot them before or something like that. There are Scourge on the way. Does he have Cloak upgraded? He does! Cloak! There's an Overlord there, but he's able to get out of range of the Overlord just by juking with that Cloak there and getting away just kind of a little bit out of range there. And a lot of Mutalisks are still in play. He may have made more Mutalisks to follow up so he can have enough to deal with this to support the Guardians. This is early 2000s Air Zerg, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go, and there's a dropship as well. There's Scourge. He really wants to target the dropship down with those Scourge if he can get it. And he's going from the side. He does get the dropship. There will be no dropping to the low ground for this Terran army. He's just going to have to fight against these Guardians that have the ridge advantage. And the Wraiths are there, but there's not enough of them with these Mutalisks to back them up. And he's actually used the Guardians to soften up the Marines enough that they're forced to fall back. And Yellow may have the advantage here. If he can follow up with some Zerglings as well to accompany this army, it'd be just some cheap, extra attacks to be able to apply to that army. But it looks like he doesn't have enough to quite just wipe that army out at this point. He's a little bit timid, doesn't want to go in and just lose all of his air units. Or even lose most of his air units unnecessarily. So he's choosing to just kind of be a little bit defensive here, use those ridges to his advantage and not overstep them. Now there is a second base going down for Midas, a 4th base going down in the top right for Yellow. And so both players trying to expand, but if they both get up those bases and nothing major happens, Yellow is going to have the long-term advantage for sure, with 4 bases to 2. As the Terran player, you can be a little bit behind the number of bases you have, but 2 behind, having half the bases is just not a place where you want to be. And coming in to harass the barracks with his Midas, he's just got that much air superiority right now that Yellow is actually going in and harassing. Midas maybe is, oh, he's actually gotten a drop down on this extra base here, so it looks like Midas is using his tactics in order to control the number of bases Yellow has. Yellow might be forced back here. These Midas are by themselves. The Guardians are not mobile enough to actually go out and accompany those Midas with harassment. It looks like the Midas are going to be enough to come back here and stop that hatchery from actually going down in this side base. But it looks like he lost all the economy there. I don't know if he had any drones at that location. He must have, I feel like, because it had been up for a while. So losing a bunch of drones, losing a lot of mining time, almost losing the hatchery, but not quite. Losing a colony there as well, creep colony that I believe was morphed into a sunken. And he's now going to be able to, he found that base, and Midas now has nothing to do with this. He wasn't able to get his turrets up in time. You can see the half-built turret over there on the side, and Yellow's just going to power down this command center. Midas not even trying to repair it or anything like that, and he's actually going to leave it burning, even though there are SCVs there that can repair it, to try and defend his main because he sees that there's a drop here. Actually, no, this is his second base, and he is going to be able to run back with these Midas. He's got the mobility. He can come back over here. And, oh no, he's fighting the Midas right against the Marines and the Wraiths. He loses so many Mutalisks. Oh no. Oh, Mutalisks are so dumb. You have to keep an eye on them all the time. But geez, he has another control group? Those were just his backup Mutalisks? He's regrouped his Mutalisks with those Guardians on the right side, and there's no way for Midas to recover that. He's slowly trying to drop into this base, but if those Mutalisks can get back over here, he might be able to save this. He's pulling the drones away in order to save them, killing off Overlords so that the cloaked Wraiths can actually be do a lot of damage as well. The Greater Spire is there, although if it goes down at this point, it won't be a huge hit to his economy. The Queen's Nest, not a huge deal either. So look at this little cat and mouse game with the vision on the Overlord and the Scourge there, and he actually does take out the hatchery. Oh no, that is bad for Yellow. Although, and oh no, well, he might have enough to power through those Marines actually with that amount of Milas, but he would lose, I think, more than it would be worth. And he's actually dropped this other base as well. No, I'm sorry, this is connected to that one, so he's actually just run up there with those Marines as well. So it looks like Yellow is probably going to be able to clean this up, but he's already lost. Actually, I don't know if he saved the drones, if he ran the drones away or not. I saw him run them away, but I don't see them on the map. So I'm not sure where they went. Maybe this is where they went right here. So Yellow was recovered. Let's just do a quick base count here. With losing a couple bases, Yellow is now at 3 bases. Probably the equivalent of only 1 mining, honestly. It's only like 1 base that's mining because his main, maybe 1.5. Yeah, because see, this base is not mining at all. His main is mining a little bit. His expansion is mining a little bit. Midas, however, is not mining either, almost at all either. He's only got his main. He hasn't been able to get an expansion and keep it this entire game. And he apparently doesn't have the economy to keep up because Yellow has now run all this huge flock of Mutalisks into his base, doing severe damage. He is managing to get a drop over on that newly replenished drones on that whatever number base that was on the right side of the map. So he's going to take that out. So Yellow is not in the clear here. He's not in a dominant position, but he definitely has the advantage. Well, maybe he is in a dominant position, actually, because those Guardians are now just going around. He's got Guardians in the main. Okay, never mind. I didn't know the Guardians had come all the way across the map in order to do this. The dropship going into the main to try and do some damage is going to get hunted down by the Mutalisks and picked off. The extra Marines are going to get picked off as well. So many Mutalisks! He's got so many Mutalisks! There's the GG coming from Midas, realizing that he could not do anything about the just total map control that Yellow had. Midas did a really good job of attempting to control it and, you know, playing with the dropship play, dropping all those bases all over the place, trying to use those ridges and, like, protect the drops by putting his forces on the edge of the ridge and then dropping over the ridge, etc., etc. He did a really, really good job of doing that, but he just was, you know, not able to secure his own economy. And you saw at the end there, he just wasn't able to build enough Marines in order to keep up with the massive amount of, you know, big air production that was being done by Yellow. And so Midas is going to go down in the first game of the group. Yellow goes up 1-0. And just to remind you guys, the way the group stages work is that it's a round robin play, and everyone in the group going to play each other once, and then if there's a tie with the records at the end, like you can actually have 2 players that have 2-1 records and 2 players that have 1-2 records, Or you can actually, there's some times when you have 3 players that all tie. Then you play tiebreakers between the people that tied. So that's kind of how it works. So yellow off to a good start. Taking 1 game early means that, you know, he basically has to win 1 out of the next 2 games in order to kind of secure himself, at least in some kind of a tiebreaker situation. So very, very good spot for him. Midas, not so good. I don't know if you guys know this about tournaments, but it's not good to lose games, just so you know. Very fun game, though. Really, really cool to see. All right, so that's going to do it for this game. We're going to move on to the next game. This group contains Yellow, Midas, Reach, and Goodfriend. So we're going to move on to watch Reach and Goodfriend in the next game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.